Part of answering this part 5 question, we're focusing on Josephus answering the question, isn't the Bible just a bunch of fairy tales? Now, in the New Testament, when people make that claim, they're talking about Jesus' death and resurrection. They're talking about his ability to heal and bring people back from the dead and his ascension to heaven. It just all sounds like fairy tales. Well, there's a Jewish historian, his name is Josephus, and he actually says some pretty interesting things. Now, I'm going to read this off my PowerPoint, so just deal with me because it's a direct quote from him. Now, there was about this time Jesus a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man. For he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. He drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the Gentiles. He was the Christ. And when Pilate, at the suggestion of the principal men amongst us, had condemned him to the cross, those who loved him at the first did not forsake him. For he appeared to them alive again on the third day, as the divine prophets have foretold these and 10,000 other wonderful things concerning him. And the tribe of the Christians, so named from him, are not extinct to this day. Antiquities of the Jews, Book 18, Chapter 3, Section 3. Now, it's interesting to read this because here's the kicker. Josephus was a non-Christian Jewish historian who identified with the Pharisees. And in the many things that is mentioned in this passage, it's really hard to believe that he's writing this unless there was absolute proof while Josephus was alive, recording history, that Jesus really did perform a lot of miracles, and he really did a lot of wonderful works, and that the Christians were growing at the time when Josephus was writing this. They were not huge, they were a group. Notice he says that. Now, Josephus is also famous for writing about the destruction of Jerusalem and other works that happened during and around the time of the early AD. He's a trusted historian source. There's no records to prove that Josephus became a Christian after the early church growth. It's just, as a historian, his job, like all historians, was to write down the eyewitness accounts and the truths that were happening in the time that he was saying, without bias and without opinion. Now, I hope that this makes you think. I would encourage you to check out, there's a book that was written about Josephus. You can check it out. It's a very thick book. I've only skimmed through it before, but I do know where you can get it. You can pick it up in most local bookstores or major bookstores places. But if you are wanting to know more about just Jesus and all that stuff, there's a thing called The Case for Christ. It's written by Lee Strobel. I would encourage you to check that out or watch the movie that they made about a year and a half ago. I believe it's still on Netflix. You can comment down below if it is or is not. But if you have any questions, any thoughts, please comment down below. That's the end of part 5. I know it was a lot. Again, if I tried to do it all in one lump sum, we'd be going into 12 minutes, and that's just a lot of time focusing. I hope you enjoyed these parts of this video, and next week we're going to be covering the last part 6. So thanks again for all your support. I hope you put great time and thought into what's being said. Have a great day.